Well, hello everyone. My name is Isadora, and I'll make a quick review of American English File 1 from lesson 6 to 12. So the first thing I want to do is explain that this review is aimed at the grammar parts of American English File, but of course I'm going to comment on some vocabularies as well. This is aimed at my students' doubts, but if you are coming across this video and if you have any other doubts, you can sure message me. And let's start it. So American English File 1 is a basic to fundamental unit. So this is what you're going to study before you go into your pre-intermediate phase. Mainly, this is where you need to make your foundation on the simple verbs, on the simple tenses as well, and try to remember what is important. Now, actually, we don't start at Unit 6. I just remember that we have to start at Unit 7. So I'm going to share my screen now, and you will all find it easier to keep up. So basically, we start at page 52. This is American English File 1, second edition that I want to use. So Unit 7A, called At the National Portrait Gallery, focus in grammar part, verb to be in the past. Verb to be, was, and were. Let's take a look here. So they're talking about the portrait gallery. Remember that when we talk about portraits, what we mean is that we don't think only about paintings like Van Gogh or Monet. We think about photographs as well. This is about pictures of people, okay? When we talk about portraits, it's always pictures or paintings as well, but of people, not of landscapes, paisagens. Now let me open the notepad to make it easier for us. So basically we see here that we use verb to be in the simple present. So let me write here. Verb to be. In the simple present, we have the forms am, is, or are. She is very happy. He is a student here. And they're nice people. So this is the present. Remember also that verb to be stands for ser or estar. Okay, so we are talking about state in this case. And if we use it in the simple past, we use was in the case of am or is, and were, which is the past of are, as in she was a student back then, and they were at the beach yesterday. Okay, this is basically it. And on page 136, which is the grammar bank, you see more examples. For example, President Reagan's wife was an actress. She wasn't in class yesterday. Was she sick? The Beatles were famous in the 1960s. Where were you last night? You weren't at home. And basically, another important thing is that most of the time, I tell you to use auxiliaries, for example, do, did, will, etc. But the verb to be in the simple parts, in the simple tenses, doesn't need an auxiliary. What we do is either we use the verb to be in the negative, for example, I'm not a student, she isn't a student, or in this case, in the past, I, he, she, it wasn't there, or you, we, they weren't there. And if we want to make an interrogative, we change the order. So basically, I was a student, Were you a student? I just put the verb to be in front. That's basically it. And the other part, the vocabulary part here, was about making nouns. So basically here we have that. We often add er or if it's a verb. For example, to act is a verb. So what we do is say actor. To sail is a verb, velejar, so sailor. But for instance, music. Music is not a verb, it's a noun. So we say musician. And police. Police is a noun, so we say policeman or policewoman. Okay, so that's the difference. If we have verbs, we add er or, and if we have nouns, we use ian, musician, ist, for example, scientist, or man and woman. For Unit 7b, Chelsea Girls, we reviewed the simple past. Let's take a look here. Now, the simple past, as you were going to see, is the tense that we use when something was finished in the past. Finished actions in the past. And here, specifically in this unit, we are talking about the regular verbs. The regular verbs end in ed. Okay, now let's take a look. Simple present. They want to go to the match. In the simple past, we say they wanted to go to the match. They don't talk to the taxi driver. In the simple past, they didn't talk to the taxi driver. Where do you want to go? Where did you want to go? Basically, what is important for us to remember is that in the interrogative, we use did, which is the auxiliary, plus the subject, plus the main verb. For example, did you go to the party last night? In the negative, we use didn't as well. Remember that this verb that we're using with the auxiliary is the verb in the base form. So it's similar to the present. You use the subject, didn't, and the verb in the base form. For instance, I didn't go to the party last night. And the verb only changes in affirmative. So subject plus verb in the simple past. I walked to the party last night. If I want to use the verb walk, which is regular, okay? Now, trying to remember the rules of regular verbs. Most verbs, you add ed. For instance, work, worked. Walk, walked. Some other verbs, for instance, the ones that end in y, consonant plus y, you take out the y and add ied. For instance, study, studied. Try, tried. Cry, cried. Okay. For instance, I studied a lot last week. He tried his best at the exam. She cried last night. That's basically it. And here we also have some expressions that we use in the past. Let's take a look. We have yesterday, last night. When we use last, we mean literally último. But when we use ago, we mean atrás, which means that I can give you any gap. For example, 3 days ago, 3 dias atrás. A week ago, uma semana atrás. 10 years ago, 10 anos atrás. Okay? And they all define time very specifically. In the next unit, 7C, we have a night to remember. Now, this unit is about the simple past as well, but we make a review of the verbs that are irregular. For instance, irregular verbs, they have no rules. Let's see some examples. Go, went, eat, ate, drink, drank. Basically it. And then we had the practical English. In this practical English, we see Rob and Jenny. And Jenny is arrived at London. Rob is taking her out. Let's take a look. She has to find the Tate Modern. And here we have some directions that we can give to help her. Let's take a look here. Number 1 is at the traffic lights. Então aqui a gente tem um semáforo e at the traffic lights é um modo de dizer o que fazer quando chegar no sinal. Por exemplo, vire à direita depois de chegar no sinal. Turn right at the traffic lights. Vire à direita no sinal, okay? Number 2 is literally turn left. Number 3 is on the corner. On the corner means na esquina. So, for example, you will see the bank on the corner. E você também pode dizer na esquina de duas ruas, por exemplo. Let's imagine. Plaza Shopping is on the corner of Visconde de Niterói and 15 de Novembro. That's it. Number 4 is turn right. Number 5 is a bridge. Okay, uma ponte. So I can say cross the bridge, cruza a ponte, or turn right before the bridge, vira direita antes da ponte, por exemplo. Pode ser usada como uma ideia de localização. Number 6 is go past, ou seja, passe da, para fazer alguma coisa. Imagine que tem duas entradas aqui. Imagina que tem uma entrada antes da igreja e uma entrada depois da igreja. Go past the church and turn left seria passa a igreja e vira à esquerda. Então, a gente tem um ponto de referência. Number 7 is across from. Lembrem-se que tem uma diferença entre in front of e across from. In front of é literalmente na frente. Então, se tiver alguém, eu tô vendo o cabelo da pessoa, a pessoa tá de costas para mim, mas ela tá na minha frente, na fila, she is in front of me. Se ela estiver virada para mim, ou se eu tô de um lado da rua e tem uma pessoa do outro lado, she is across from me. And finally, number 8, go straight ahead. Só seguir em frente. And here we have ways to ask where the things are. Então, um jeito polido de perguntar as coisas é excuse me, para começar, e depois can you tell me the way to the Tate Modern? Where is the Tate Modern, please? Excuse me, is the Tate Modern near here? Então, todos esses são jeitos polidos de perguntar. Todos eles estão valendo, ok? If you need someone to repeat, you can ask, sorry, can you repeat, please? Or, sorry, could you say that again, please? And here, in the end, we have the expression, you can't miss it, which is basically, não tem como você se perder. This is that unit. On Unit 8A, we have a review once again of the simple past. So we had a murder story, which was very funny. I don't know if you remember, but I liked it a lot. And we saw the murder of Mr. Travers. And we discovered that the murderer was his business partner. It wasn't his wife nor his lover, but his business partner. And in the grammar part, we needed to take a look here in the grammar bank. Let's take a look. It's on page 138. Simple past, regular and irregular verbs. B, I was born in Japan. They were late for class yesterday. She wasn't at home last night. You weren't very nice to her. Were you sick yesterday? When was he born? Então, essas são as formas afirmativas, negativas e interrogativas do verbo to be. No regular verbs, a gente usa ed, e nos irregulars a gente precisa lembrar. Mas o que é legal a gente perceber aqui é que quando a gente usa o auxiliar, o verbo não muda, ele fica sempre na base form. In part 8b, we saw some vocabulary of the house. So it's cool if you go to page 161 and try to remember all the vocabulary that we checked here, okay, in the house. But furthermore, we saw the uses of there is and there are. When do we use there is, there are? Em português, a gente tem a mania de usar ter para tudo. Esse ter funciona para o que existe no lugar, funciona no sentido de haver. Em inglês, não vai ser assim. Ter, o verbo have, é só para posse. Enquanto ter, no sentido de haver, a gente usa there is and there are. Let's take a look. There is a garage. There are some pictures in the wall. If you want to describe your room, for instance, you have to use there is, there are. For example, in my room, there is a bed. There are some pillows. In my desk, there is a cell phone. There is a notebook. There is a water bottle. Okay? So, you can choose have, porque essas coisas inanimadas não podem possuir nada. Elas estão ali. É o sentido de haver. Mesma coisa se você for descrever a sua vizinhança. For example, em Niterói, there are 2 shopping malls. There isn't an airport. There are many beaches. There is a public university. UF. Okay? So, that's basically it. And in Unit 8C, we saw there was and there were, which is basically there is, there are in the past. Now let's think about the past. I moved to my house in 2001. Before that, I lived in an apartment. In my old apartment, there were 2 rooms, but in my new house, there are 3 rooms. In my old apartment, there was only 1 bathroom, but in my new house, there are 3 bathrooms, sorry. Okay, so there was and there were is on the past. And here in these units that we saw there was and there were, we also saw something very interesting, which is the prepositions of place and of movement. Let's take a look at them. The difference between prepositions of place and of movement is the verb that we use together with them. If you talk about prepositions of place, you are presuming that the things are states there, ok? Então, a gente está dando uma ideia de estar, ser ou estar. For example, the ghost is behind the sofa. Ele está atrás. Ele não está se mexendo, ele está parado. Number 2, the ghost is in the closet. Number 3, it is under the bed. Number 4, it is over the mirror. Lembrando que a diferença do on e do over é on tá em cima, tá grudado ali em cima. Over está acima. Number 5, The ghost is in front of the table. 6, the ghost is beside, next to the chair, do lado. 7, the ghost is between the windows. Number 8, the ghost is across, face to the woman. Number 9, the ghost is on the chair, he's sitting. And that's it. Now, if we talk about prepositions of movement, we generally talk about go, come, verbs of movement as well. So in number 1, the ghost is coming toward me. Number 2, the ghost is going up. Number 3, the ghost is coming outside the closet or out the closet. Number 4, the ghost is going down. Number 5, the ghost is going from the living room to room 11. And number 6, the ghost is going into the closet. Então, go into, be in. Tem uma diferença. Esse into dá uma ideia de movimento, indo para dentro. And then we had Unit 9A, what I ate yesterday. We saw some vocabulary for food that I'm not going to review with you. But then again, we also saw some part that is very difficult for most students, which is define what is countable and what is uncountable. Let's take a look. Countable and uncountable nouns. And the examples here are an apple, 3 apples, rice, and meat. So there are 2 kinds of nouns in English. We have the countable nouns and the uncountable nouns. The countable nouns are things that we can count easily. For example, I have 5 fingers on my hand. But rice, I can't count easily. Water. How do I count water? O único jeito que eu tenho de contar água é se eu contar mililitros, se eu contar garrafas, mas eu não posso contar água mesmo. Uma água, 2 águas. Quando a gente fala assim, me vê 2 águas, a gente, na verdade, está falando me vê 2 garrafas de água. Então, água, por exemplo, não é contável. Money, not countable. I can count dollars, for example, $1, $2, but I can't count 2 money. That's the difference. So countable are things that you can count easily and uncountable things that you can't count. Agora, nesse rolê das coisas que você não pode contar, tem coisas que fica mais difícil de a gente entender. Então, vamos definir assim, o que a gente não pode contar nunca. Coisas abstratas, eletricidade, dinheiro, tempo. Não posso contar substâncias, matéria-prima, por exemplo, madeira, algodão, carne, nada disso eu posso contar. Não posso contar grão, a menos que eu fale, literalmente, 1 grão de arroz. Mas eu não posso falar 1 arroz, 2 arrozes, ou feijão. E não posso contar líquido nenhum. Então, essas 3 coisas nunca vou contar, com certeza, ok? Coisas que vocês podem querer lembrar que não conta também. Carne, meat, cheese, ham, bread. O pão é difícil porque em português a gente conta pão, claramente. Em inglês não conta porque o pão é diferente, não costuma ser um pão francês. Então a gente sempre a piece of bread or a slice of bread, ok? E aqui a gente também tem sobre o uso de a or an e some, any. Lembrando que a or an a gente só pode usar na frente de uncountable nouns. Por quê? Porque a gente está falando de uma também. Mesmo que seja um artigo indefinido, ele te obriga a te contar que é só um ou uma. A diferença do a para o an é muito simples. Não está no que está escrito, mas sim no som que você fala. Então, por exemplo, a tomato, o som que vem em seguida é um som de consoante, eu vou usar a. An apple, o som que vem depois é um som de vogal, eu vou usar an. Mas, por exemplo, a university, por quê? University é o som de Y que começa. Então, não é vogal. Mesma coisa com an X-ray. X-ray, mesmo que comece com X, eu falo X. Logo, começa com som de vogal. Tomem cuidado com isso. E aqui a gente tem uma diferença entre some e any. Some é usado sempre na afirmativa. A única exceção de some na interrogativa é quando você está oferecendo ou pedindo alguma coisa. For example, could you lend me some money? Would you like some apples? Enquanto isso, a gente usa o any na negativa e na interrogativa. Na 8b, a gente viu quantifiers, and we also saw some food containers. Aqui tem uma diferença de um food container que é até um pouquinho difícil de ver. O primeiro é uma bottle, okay? Number 2 is, as you can see, a package. Number 3 is a box. Number 4, a carton. 5, a can. 6, a jar. And 7, a bag. Qual a diferença de package, box, carton e bag? Primeiro que carton é sempre uma embalagem Tetra Pak, ok? Aquela embalagenzinha que serve para líquido, é uma caixa para líquidos, ela tem um alumínio por dentro. Isso é um carton. Box é literalmente uma caixa. Agora, a diferença entre package e bag é que o package geralmente tem uma bandejinha por baixo, nunca é solto, entendeu? É um pacotinho porque as coisas estão mais presas ali dentro. Um pacote de biscoito recheado, por exemplo, ele está bem fechadinho. Já uma bag, ela está mais solta, entendeu? Pensa em batata frita mesmo, em chips. É uma bag of chips. O package costuma ter ou um apoio ou tá muito fechadinho ali. Não tem como os biscoitos se mexerem. Essa é a diferença. E aqui a gente tem os quantifiers. Let's take a look at the quantifiers, because this is a nice topic. Quantifiers, how much, how many, a lot of, etc. We differentiated the countable nouns and the uncountable nouns. If you have an uncountable noun, you have to use much. And if you need to use countable nouns, you say how many. Então, vamos lá. A diferença aqui vai ser para countable nouns and for uncountable nouns. For countable, when you mean muito, we're going to say a lot of. For uncountable, you can also say a lot of. If you want to use it in the negative, you can use not many, não muitas, or not much, não muito. If you mean pouco, you have to say a few, if it's countable. And if it's uncountable, a little. For example, I have a few friends, I have a little money. And if you mean pouco, you need to say few or little. I have a few friends, just 2, and I have little money, just 2 reais. Okay? That's the main difference between them. In Unit 9C, we have comparative adjectives. Let's take a look at them. Comparative adjectives, in this case, are superiority. How do we make comparatives? The first part is we have to check if it's a long adjective or a short adjective. And how can I check it? Counting syllables. How can I count syllable? Pronouncing. Okay, let's take a look here at the examples. Old is a short adjective, just 1 syllable. Cheap is a short adjective, just 1 syllable. But let's take a look. Famous. Famous is a long adjective. You have 2 syllables. Famous. Healthy is short because this Y is not a vowel. Então, não pode ser contado como uma outra sílaba completa. E o que vai diferenciar eu saber se é longo ou se é curto? Se for longo, eu vou usar more. For example, New York is more famous than Buffalo. iPhones are more expensive than Xiaomi. Então, para longos adjetivos, long adjectives, I am always going to use more adjective than. If they are short, I have to follow some rules. For example, if it's a short adjective, normally I use ER. My brother is older than me. Então, vai ficar o adjetivo com R, than. This is cheaper than the price I bought. Se o adjetivo terminar com consoante, vogal, consoante, eu preciso dobrar a última consoante na hora de escrever. Então, for example, New York is bigger than Philadelphia. Rio de Janeiro is hotter than São Paulo. Okay? E se terminar com Y precedido de consoante, eu vou tirar o Y fora e colocar IR. Então, Brasília is drier than Rio de Janeiro, mais seca. And my food is healthier than McDonald's food. E nós temos as exceções good, bad e far, que são better, worse e farther. Further também existe, mas sempre dá uma noção de mais, não só de mais longe. Finalmente, and finally, we saw the practical English at a restaurant, okay? So we have a menu here, appetizers, main courses, and desserts. Reminder that appetizer can be also called starter, ou seja, é um aperitivo ou uma entrada que vem antes. O main course é o prato principal e a dessert é a sobremesa. Ordering a meal. This is important. Let's take a look. Good morning. Do you have a reservation? Yes, a table for two. My name is Daniel O'Connor. Come this way. Are you ready to order? Yes. Aqui você pode tanto pedir direto e falar please no final. For example, the soup and the mushroom ravioli, please. Or I'd like. Eu gostaria. Okay. And then the waiter can ask you, what would you like to drink? Just the same, you can ask please or I'd like. And we have the question, still or sparkling? If we talk about water and we say still or sparkling, still is with no gas, sparkling with gas. This is basically the first part of the course, and I'm going to stop and do the second part next. Thank you for listening to now. See you.